forward to exploring how we can help reconcile development challenges and respect and use diverse knowledge systems. And then under deploying nature-based solutions to climate, food and water, we'd like to focus particularly on health and well-being, obviously, and it's a great opportunity to pursue the Healthy Parks, Healthy People partnerships. We'd also like to focus on food and water, food security, water supply quality and availability, and also on climate change. And that's not just adapting to climate change, that's also helping to mitigate climate change and its impacts. I think it's fair to say that the World Parks Congress is a child with many parents and many grandparents, and it's a cherished member of a very large family. We think that this structure provides the opportunity to consider most, if not all, of the issues that have been raised at this Congress and before. But we're very interested in hearing thoughts from you all about how this would work. Many speakers at the Congress have spoken about time running out, and we're feeling that very keenly. It's only 2 years before the Congress is scheduled to occur, and we need to start running on our journey to Sydney. Fortunately, we have many excited and enthusiastic people who want to work with us, and many organisations that want to partner to help make this a stimulating, exciting and pivotal event. There are many paths which lead to Sydney. There's not just one path. And I've spoken to many of the organisers of these events and conferences, and they are all excited about the opportunity to link what they are proposing into the World Parks Congress. That's a pretty impressive list of what's going to happen next year. So we're very keen to use those pathways to develop ideas, themes, work through issues that you would like to see brought together into a global program in Sydney. We're also thinking, but I haven't got a slide here, about the pathways out of Sydney too, because Sydney is not a destination, it's a point in a long journey. And so we need to be thinking about, as we head towards the World Parks Congress in Sydney, where we are actually moving to past that. And that we've got lots of ideas, but I think I'd like to leave you with that thought, that we're not thinking of Sydney as an end point. It is just a milestone on a long journey. We're very grateful and honoured to be hosting this, but it has been a really important collaboration, a partnership between not only all the parties, the commissions, but also it will be a partnership with wider society if we're truly to inspire and offer solutions that are relevant to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I think perhaps we could ask the organisers to put up the earlier slide, the one with the proposed themes. If we can get that one. Then we can just have it in the background and see whether we want to add stuff or perhaps even take away stuff. It's a great pleasure now for me to ask Braulio Diaz, the Executive Secretary of the CBD, to take the floor and tell us whether you think that we can make use of the Parks Congress moving towards 2020.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all. I'm very privileged to have this opportunity to say a few words about our views concerning the organization of the 6th World Park Congress. And as Julia rightly pointed out, yes, the CBD is a child of IUCN, a proud child of IUCN, now reaching the mature stage, hopefully, and a stage where we have to deliver more outcomes on the promises made. I think the concept that is presented for the 6th World Park Congress is very well thought, and I think it does provide a good opportunity to discuss some key issues. And I would like to very briefly refer to some aspects. One, of course, you all know the IEG target 11 in itself is quite ambitious and complex, even though the 17% figure should be higher, and nothing prevents us to go higher than 17. That's a minimum achievement expected, and hopefully we will go much beyond 17 for terrestrial areas and 10 for the marine areas. But I would like to remember all of us that the achievement of several other of the Aichi targets depends very much on what we do with protected areas. So just to remember, target 12, we agreed to avoid extinction of threatened species. Target 13, we agreed to minimize genetic erosion of plants and other organisms of economic interest, especially for indigenous and local communities. Target 14, we agreed to maintain the provision of ecosystem services. Target 15, we agreed to enhance ecosystem resilience and to restore at least 15% of degraded ecosystems. Target 5, we agreed to at least halve the loss of natural habitat, and where possible to bring it close to zero. Target 6, we agreed to manage all the fisheries in a sustainable way and start restoring fishery stocks. Target 10, we agreed to reduce the pressures on coral reefs and other vulnerable ecosystems to climate change. And target 18, we agreed to enhance protection to traditional rights and to indigenous and local communities. And all of these targets are very relevant to protected areas. So protected areas should be one of the main instruments to help achieve these other targets. So even though achieving target 11 on its own, it's already challenging, but we need to keep in mind that we have other expectations also to be fulfilled by our activities on protected areas. Of course, the work program we have under the CBG on protected area also we have to thank IUCN. So it was based on the results of the Durban IUCN Congress, and we look forward to continuous very strong collaboration with all the IUCN family to further implement that program. The good news is that we now have received 105 national action plans to implement the Protected Areas program. So that's quite significant, with a lot of information about national targets for protected areas, about needs assessments, about assessment of current effectiveness of protected areas, current threats, also discussion about governance issues. So I think it's a very rich source of reference and commitments by countries to implement our work program on protected areas. I'd like to also call attention to the issue of management effectiveness, as we have seen in the report launched here 2 days ago. Even though we have about almost 13% of terrestrial areas under protected areas and about 4% of the marine, most of those areas are not being currently managed in an effective way. So it's only about 24% that are perhaps managed as they should. And so there's a large challenge ahead of us in terms of providing more support for all those organizations involved in the management of protected areas to enhance their effectiveness. Because it's not just a matter of numbers, of having more protected areas, but we need them to be effective. And of course there we have the issue of funding, which is a huge issue. As you know, resource mobilization will be one of the main issues to be discussed at COP11 next month in Hyderabad. It will be very difficult because the challenge is to come to an agreement about targets for resource mobilization in a time when many countries are still facing significant financial crisis. So we have to be creative, and I think the issue of financial sustainability also deserves a lot of attention. I think we need to disseminate more the lessons learned, the good mechanisms that have been established in many countries, so that all countries can benefit by creating and implementing well good financial mechanisms that can ensure the financial sustainability of protected areas. I don't think we can believe that we will maintain forever protected areas just based on philanthropy. We have to ensure a more sound financial basis to maintain. And the good news, of course, as you know, is that protected areas themselves can raise a lot of funds if we develop the adequate mechanism and if we ensure that that money returns to the protected area system. The other issue I want to raise with you, where we have a lot of challenge, is marine protected areas. I think in many countries we're lacking in terms of expertise on how to deal with the challenges of creating and expanding protected areas in the marine area. As you know, the issues of marine conservation will also be a very important issue at COP11 in Hyderabad. We have several different issues. One of them is the identification of EPSAs, the areas of ecological and biological importance in the oceans. And the difficult issue is that we're dealing both with marine areas within national jurisdiction and beyond national jurisdiction. And as you know, there's a lot of political, diplomatic concerns regarding how to deal with the issue of conservations in the high seas. And that's an unsolved question that we will need to continue to provide support and pressure so that we can see progress. But I think there's a lot of progress that we can make within the national jurisdiction of each country in relation to marine protected areas, and then utilize that experience as we move to implement marine protected areas beyond national jurisdiction. Another issue which I want to highlight is, which is also reflected in the concept here, is the need to work, perhaps give more importance and more attention to the issue of community-based protected areas. So I think there's a lot of potential in many countries that has not been realized, that has not been recognized and supported. And perhaps we ended up with this awkward figure of 17% target because many delegates in Nagoya, when we were negotiating, they were just thinking about strict preservation protected areas when they thought about those figures. So that's why they were pushing for a lower value. But I think that as we promote more, that there's a range of different governance systems and that there are many models that are working very well. And I enjoyed very much, for example, years ago visiting Kakadu National Park in Australia, a partnership between the Park Service and the indigenous lands, where they found ways to have a win-win solution. And so that all the profit from ecotourism in that park returns to the local Aboriginal community. So we need to highlight more of these different models in different countries and disseminate more for a wider range of countries. And I have requested my team to organize a special session during COP11, a whole day discussion on Saturday the 13th, just to discuss and review experiences on community-based protected areas and see how we can better promote these approaches. So to finalize, just to repeat that I think that the concept proposed here is quite good. I think especially for developing country, we need to strengthen the visibility and the understanding that protected areas do provide significant returns to society, much beyond the environmental issues. So in areas like health, food security, water availability, etc., I think we need to stress much more that message and enhance partnerships in that area. Because unfortunately, many sectors out there, they don't understand that, and they see protected areas as going against the opportunities for development, when in fact protected areas will ensure the sustainability of development initiatives. So I'd like to congratulate Australia for this initiative of hosting the next Parks Congress, and look forward to be there and see all the good results. So we look forward, as we move to implement the Aichi targets, we need good support from all this community, and we need real results out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brony, for pointing to some very significant issues, financial sustainability, marine protected areas and beyond, and community-based protected areas, and then also the returns coming to parks in many different forms. Now, as you can see from this conceptual framework at the bottom, remember in the bottom third it says nature-based solutions in our program. That we really want also, as one of the purposes of the Congress, to focus on nature-based solutions, on seeing parks and protected areas as a nature on which we can base some solutions. And that has been done in other fields before. In rainforests, it ended up with REDD+. In energy, it's ended up with Energy Plus. And one of the persons who led the thinking and the political drive behind these two initiatives was Norway's Minister for Environment and International Development, Erik Solheim. So I'm very happy to give you the floor now and tell us what Parks Plus can possibly mean in the future. Welcome to Erik.
Thank you, Paul. I believe that there is just one resource which is lacking in the world today, and that resource has two words: political will. And that's whatever issue we come back to, that is the issue. As soon as we can mobilize the political will, we can resolve all problems. If we do not mobilize political will, we will come nowhere. And that applies to basically every issue on the agenda. If we take the position of God somewhere out in space looking down to planet Earth, basically God will be very satisfied, because most issues are moving in the right direction on this earth. Average human being is much higher, much fatter, much better health, much better education than at any point in human history. So God can be satisfied. But there are three issues. War, still 1 billion plus people are living in absolute poverty, and many more people are poor, and it's environmental degradation. These are the issues, and the focus here are the two of them: environmental degradation and poverty. And they cannot be separated. If you separate them, we will lose. And fascinating enough, still there are two global tribes. One environmental tribe and one development tribe. Even in most nations there are two tribes. And they speak, yes, sometimes they speak to each other, but not too often. And it's fascinating how separate these two tribes are. And I tell you, since nearly everyone here is from the environmental tribe, that if we try to promote environment on a platform which is opposed to development, we are doomed to lose. We will absolutely certainly lose. We will lose because humans are not like that. I mean, humans love their own life. We want to be reproductive. We want our children to grow up in prosperity. But we also love nature and want nature to be protected. So there is no separation in the individual human being. But of course, more importantly, if we make a contradiction of this, we will lose because development will win. And the reason is very simple. With hardly an exception, every human being already born, the 2 million people who will be born and which we know will be born but are not yet born, all want to be members of the middle class. Everyone wants that. We all want to be knowing what to eat tomorrow, to have some kind of acceptable dwelling, not to die from diseases which are completely curable, and our children to have education. There is no exception. Every citizen of this globe have this dream, and that must be satisfied, but it cannot be satisfied on the expense of the environment. To the contrary, it must be satisfied with taking environmental as the basis for this satisfying of people's aspirations. If we look to national parks, there are three reasons why we create national parks. First national park, as I know, was Yellowstone National Park in the United States. I think Theodore Roosevelt, the American president, once said that there is nothing as American as, not apple pie, not Big Mac, it was not invented those days. There is nothing as American as national parks, he said. It was invented in the US, but it spread to the world. And in the first phase, it was because people wanted to protect beautiful nature. Splendid nature, Yellowstone Park, they wanted this for health reason, they wanted this for tourist reason, and they wanted simply to take care of these. We must build upon that today also,